today I will be showing you guys how I got this lovely shirred top. It's one of the easiest tutorials I have done, so let's jump into it. So I went down by 1 inch on my paper because it's usually not advisable to start your sketching or your pattern making at the very top of your paper. So I went down by 1 inch, and that is going to act as my shoulder line, and then I went down by 26 inches plus 1 inch, which is 27 inches, and that's going to be my blouse length, and that's me marking the 1 inch allowance. And then from there I will go out from my center front by 13 inches at my shoulder line and at the hem. So I got 13 inches by dividing the largest part of my upper body in 4, which is my bust, divided by 4 times 1.5. To get my armhole line, I went down from my shoulder line by 9 inches, and I went down by 13 inches from my shoulder line to get my underbust. And I'm currently looking at my camera at the laptop because my camera is above me and I don't want to like stick my head in and interrupt the view for you guys. So yeah, hi. So I labeled my lines so that I don't get confused. Like I said, the underbust is usually about 3 inches from your bust point. So from my underbust, I will measure about 7 inches, which is going to be my midriff area, and that's where I'm going to be shirring. On my shoulder line, I will go in by 3 inches and come down by 3 inches, and that will be my neckline. So I wanted a deeper neckline, so I went in and I made a deeper neckline. So on my shoulder line, I went down by 1 inch at the side seam, and I connected that 1 inch to my neckline. And on my armhole line, I went out of the side seam line by about ½ an inch, and I connected that to the side seam line. And I'm just going to add about ½ an inch all through the side seam. My back, I went down by about 2 inches, and I went out by 3 inches for my neckline, because the neckline for the back is usually a lot shorter than the neckline for the front. So with the help of my front pattern, I will cut out my back pattern. So when cutting out the fabric, I added about ½ an inch on my shoulder line, and I notched my underbust and my 7-inch mark so that I know exactly where I'm starting and where I am stopping my shirring. So I used a chalk to line those notched areas, and then in between those two lines, I marked about ½ an inch apart from the very beginning of my notch to the very end of my notch. And I did this from side seam to side seam, and I drew a straight line down. So for my back, I did the same thing for my front. At the shoulder, I added about ½ an inch, and then I added about 1 inch extra for my zip allowance, and I also notched my underbust and my 7-inch mark. So I'm going to cut open my zip allowance now. So I did the same thing that I did to the front on my back. Now I am threading my bobbin with my elastic thread. Now you don't want to pull or stretch on that elastic thread. If you do that, it's probably not going to give you the effect that you're looking for when you share your fabric. So for my sleeves, I cut about 17 by 25 inches rectangle, and the sleeve is going to be 17 and my width is going to be 25 inches. Now I am joining my back with my front. So you're going to be joining the shoulder seam and the side seam by about ½ inch. So after stitching that down, I folded in the hem of my sleeves, but I also left about ½ inch channel space or channel for my elastic. So I measured my elastic around my where I wanted my sleeve to end. I pinned one end to the fabric, and then I pinned a safety pin to the other end of the elastic, and then I passed that through that channel. For my elastic area, I sort of double pinned it so that it doesn't come loose and I have to do it all over again. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other sleeve. So after passing my elastic, I pinned it down as well, and I'm going to go stitch my side seams now. So what you want to do is measure your armhole area on your blouse first. So I measured my armhole on my blouse, and I'm gonna pleat my sleeves to fit the armhole on my blouse. So I think there are about 4 to 5 pleats that will be at the front of the blouse and about 2 pleats at the back of the blouse. Comparing both sleeves to make sure that the pleats are of the same width and the same amount. I'm measuring my sleeve armhole to make sure it's the same amount as my blouse armhole. I'm pinning down my sleeve to my blouse armhole, and I'm gonna stitch that down. So after stitching that down, I was taking a look at my work, trying to admire what I did, and I realized that I put my front sleeve at the back of the blouse and I put the back sleeve at the front of the blouse. So yeah, that I realized I had to take that off and do it all over again. Cutting out a 1-inch wide bias on a 45-degree angle because I want that bias to be a little stretchy. I can't cut it any other way if I need it to be stretchy. So my neckline is about 22 inches, so I cut out my fabric to be a lot more than 22 inches so that I can have that extra give. So I'm gonna cut out my 1-inch bias now. So as you can see, it's a lot stretchier because, well, I cut it at a 45-degree angle. I will use my 1-inch bias maker to iron down my bias because you want it to be equal on both sides. I've had that scarf for about 10 years. I don't think it's going anywhere. If I get married tomorrow, it's going into the marriage with me for sure. I'll probably pass it down to my kids. No way to tell. But yeah, that's me ironing down my bias. And I will pin my bias to my neckline, front facing front. I will fold my bias over again and stitch it for the final time. Stitch it all the way around. On my center back from the hem, I will be going up by about 5 inches because I don't want my zip to go past that 5-inch mark. So I'm sewing that 5-inch down. I pinned down my zip to my center back and I'm stitching down my zip now. I did a really good job. As you can see, every single thing is in alignment. All the lines are nice and it's aligned. It's perfect. So I am going to sandwich the rest of that zipper head between my back blouse and that 1-inch zipper allowance that we stitched. And I'm going to pin that down and I'm going to stitch it about 1/2 inch from my zipper. Nothing more or less. So that's perfect now. I feel really proud about that zip work because I really hate zippers. I'm double folding my hem and I'm gonna go stitch that all the way around, and that is the end of this tutorial. Like I said, it's probably one of the easiest tutorials I have done in like a minute. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video.